And you're watching the Chucktown Wind Report Weekend Update. It is Saturday at 4 o'clock. I wanted to go ahead and take a look at the surface map that you see in front of you and show you what's going on. We have a modest northerly wind going on right now, about 9 to 10 knots in our harbor due to this area of high pressure to our northwest. Now the center is tracking a little slower than originally anticipated, and it's tracking a little further south than originally anticipating. And what that's doing is putting us near the proximity of the center of this high, and it's also keeping this cloud belt down here to the south. This is where a gradient can build in along some of this coastal troughing and bring winds up. So as a result, we're seeing no troughing along our immediate coast and a close proximity to the center of high pressure, and that's keeping our winds on the light side. Now that's expected to continue through tomorrow to some degree. Now as this high slides over North Carolina and northern South Carolina, we are looking at a weaker wind pattern for tomorrow and sticking near the 10 knots and possible low teens. One thing that will help is this area of troughing pushing up from the southwest from the Gulf of Mexico. If we look at Datascope, we can see what that is doing. High pressure to the north wedging down into this clouding and troughing down here. And the clouding was sticking to the middle Florida locales earlier, and it did migrate to the north and did make it all the way to Jacksonville. So Jacksonville Pier is seeing 18 knots, pretty much 16 to 18 knots all day long there, and that's due to that trough interaction with the high pressure to the north. So as time goes on, these clouds should spread a little further to the north as that high wobbles over to the east and towards the Atlantic. The clouding will pull up behind it, and that's what's going to increase our gradient along the coastline. So as time goes on, these clouds will push a little further north. We should be able to cut Jekyll Island and Tybee Island in tomorrow for this, and possibly making it up into Charleston. Nothing definite yet there, but we are on a low confidence end of seeing some low to mid-teens along an east-northeast backdoor sea breeze with some assistance from this troughing. Just depends on how fast that high pressure makes it to the east across North Carolina or the South Carolina border. North Carolina. We got the GRE for radar, very dry over the southeast region. We see some higher clouds over off the northeast Atlantic, and we see some clouding moving in the southwest. And here's some of that moisture fanning up from the Gulf of Mexico that I was talking about that are bringing some clouding and troughing up into Georgia, southern Georgia at this point. So that's where the gradient is going to be. That's where the winds are going to be, is along where this troughing is pushing to the north. So that's the only shot we have as we get into Monday and Tuesday. That's when things get a little interesting as a lot of this clouding moves up. We have a very large low pressure system that's going to head towards the Great Lakes, draw up a lot of rain and thunderstorms ahead of it. So a fairly significant severe pattern coming up for next week by Tuesday into Wednesday that should draw up a strong southeast gradient for us, and we'll talk about that on either tomorrow or Monday. We'll get into that, but for right now we're looking at a slower build, modest northerly to northeasterly winds tomorrow. And then as we get into Monday, we start to see the gradient tighten down a little bit more, and we get a stronger mid-teens build on a northeast to east-northeast wind. So that will do it for the Chucktown Wind Report. Have a good afternoon. I will see you tomorrow, if not on Monday. Thank you.